So several weeks ago, Fender released this guitar, the American Ultra Luxe Vintage 60s model. And this is an interesting take on the modern Stratocaster because it's sort of blending two different sides of the spectrum. You have the modern features and amenities and build quality of the Ultra 2 line, their sort of flagship Stratocaster, blended with some hints, some taste, a smattering of vintage specs and aesthetics. Now on paper, this is a cool idea, blending the vintage and modern, but it got me thinking, and it got a discussion going over on the Discord server about sort of the direction of Fender and who they're going after, because I feel like this guitar was an attempt to win back some of the market that they've lost to companies like PRS with the Silver Sky and Suhr with the Classic S. So I decided to see who's making the best American Strat today. Is it Fender, or is it PRS or Suhr, or someone else? So I got 4 different Strats from 4 different companies, all made in America, all sort of the flagship non-custom shop American-made Stratocaster or S style guitar. And we're going to look at them, we're going to play them, we're going to talk about them and see if Fender is making the best Stratocaster, because the answer may be no. But before we jump into it, let me quickly thank the sponsor of today's video, which is Sweetwater. Some of these guitars I got from Sweetwater. Other ones I got directly from the builders. I'll be sure to disclose all that stuff when we get there. But they have a massive selection of new gear and used gear with the used gear marketplace. So if you're in the market for a new piece of gear, whether it be a guitar, amp, pedal, whatever, check out sweetwater.com. If you look in the description box down below, I will have links to the guitars that I'm talking about in today's video. Those will be affiliate links, which means if you purchase anything through one of those links, I earn a small commission, which really helps me out in keeping this channel going, and I greatly appreciate the support. So huge thanks to Sweetwater for sponsoring today's video. With all that out of the way, let's hear this guitar. Okay, let's go over some of the specs and features of these guitars, starting with the Fender. This is the American Ultra Luxe Vintage 60s. I did get this guitar sent to me directly from Fender when it was announced. For the record, no money changed hands. They did not ask for a video or review or demo or anything like that, but I did not pay for this guitar, so full disclosure there. Now, if you're not too familiar with this, like I said in the intro, this is sort of a blend of the vintage and modern sort of take on a Fender Stratocaster. We have many of the features in the design from their Ultra 2 line, which is the sort of modern day version of the Strat. You've got features like the contoured heel on the body there, the S1 pickup switch, which allows you to blend in the neck pickup with the bridge position and the second position, so you can get all 3 pickups on at one time. You've got locking tuners, a compound radius fingerboard, stainless steel frets, a pretty thin neck profile, thin but comfortable, still playable. 2-point floating tremolo, like yeah, it's a modern Strat, but it has some vintage appointments, like a really truly beautiful nitrocellulose lacquer finish. And then the other big difference from the Ultra 2 is the pickups. These are the pure vintage 61 pickups, which do sound really nice. They're very bright, they're very articulate. How do they compare to a real 61? It's hard to say. I think they're a little overly articulate, overly bright compared to a more vintage specific style pickup, but they sound really nice. Now, at the time of filming this video, this guitar is retailing for $2,849 US, which is pretty expensive, honestly, for what you're getting. I mean, you're pushing $3,000 after you pay sales tax in whatever area you're in. And I think that price reflects a sign of the times. I think had this guitar come out 2 years ago or even a year ago, I think it would be a few $100s less, and in large part due to the tariffs. I think we're already starting to see price increases in the guitar market from the tariffs, and I think the Ultra Luxe Vintage Strat is an example of that. To me, this guitar really should be in that $2,200 to $2,400 range, but overall, it's a great Strat. It plays super well. I really do like the pickups. The S1 switch is a nice feature if you're into that kind of thing. And I've got to give credit where credit is due. The fit and finish on this guitar from the factory is great. My one complaint with this guitar is the tremolo arm. See if I can get this focused here. But the tremolo arm with this bridge, there's play in it. I don't know how well you're picking that up on the camera there. But even after adjusting that small set screw in the back of the bridge, I can't get the tremolo arm to sit flush in the pocket there. It doesn't feel high quality. It doesn't feel like a $2,800 guitar, frankly. Other than that, this guitar feels great. Now, next up is the PRS Silver Sky. Now, a lot has been said about the Silver Sky in the years since its introduction. Love it or hate it, this is a great Strat. And it is a Strat. If you saw the argument that I had with Zach over on Dipped in Tone a few weeks ago, you'll know that I think this is a Strat through and through. Now, I played the Silver Sky when it first came out in, 2018? Right? And my initial impressions were it was cool. It was a great guitar, but this is the first time I've really gotten to spend time with one. And this is a really, really great guitar. I have to hand it to Paul and the team and John Mayer. Like, they built a really great Strat. Now, this guitar comes in $100 less than the Fender. It's $27.49 US at the time of filming this video. So, Fender scale length, traditional 6-screw bridge there, although it is in PRS fashion, slightly over-engineered. Things like little slots, little tracks where the set screws for the saddle, the action adjustment go, so the screws don't slide back and forth. Really nice touch. Also, unlike the Fender, the way the tremolo arm mounts into the bridge is super secure. Very well designed, very well engineered. It's easy to put the tremolo arm in and take it out. And when it's in, it is rock solid. Now, interestingly, PRS and Mayer decided to go with a very, very vintage spec and very round 7¼ inch radius. And you do feel that. I mean, coming from one of these other guitars to the PRS, it does take you a second to get used to that more round radius. But if this was your main guitar and you're playing it every day, and you had the guitar set up correctly, the fingerboard radius is perfectly fine. It's perfectly playable. It doesn't limit you in any way at all. And after playing it for 2 or 3 minutes, you just sort of adapt to it and you get used to it, and then you pretty much stop noticing it. And in typical PRS fashion, obviously the build quality, the fit and finish of this guitar is top notch. PRS has arguably the best build quality and quality control when compared to Fender and Gibson. And that's evident in this guitar. I mean, it's just really nice. Now, I do have one major gripe with this guitar. And it's less about this guitar, and it's more about, I think, sort of the PRS ethos here. I didn't originally know this until I was talking to my friend Zach from High Voltage Guitars and Mythos, my co-host over on Dipped in Tone. And I talked about wanting to swap the pickups out because I think these pickups sound great, but you know, they're not my favorite. I might want to try something a little different. And he said, oh, well, no, you can't just swap those out. The route underneath the pickguard here is not a standard Fender route. If you look at a standard Fender style single coil for Stratocaster, from the top down angle, you'll know that there's like a slight almost V shape in the bottom of the bobbin where the wires come out from the winding. And Strat bodies are traditionally routed with that V shape in mind. Not PRS. No. Their pickups, their single coils, don't have that V shape in the bottom, which is fine, but they didn't route the body to accept a standard Fender style single coil. In my opinion, this reads as Paul doesn't want you changing the pickups in this guitar. And he potentially thinks that these are the only pickups that should be in the Silver Sky. And I just, God, that bothers me. You're spending $2,700 on this guitar. You should be able to easily modify it however you see fit. And the fact that you couldn't just go and purchase any aftermarket or custom shop set of single coil pickups to drop into the Silver Sky without having to either modify the body or buy a set of pickups that will specifically fit this route, that sucks, man. That's just not cool. Part of the appeal of something like a Fender, like a Strat or a Tele, is the modularity of it, is the modability of it. The fact that you can easily swap parts out with a soldering iron and a basic tool set to different pickups, different electronics. You can swap bridges. I mean, you can even swap necks out. So I think to take that away from the player is a pretty big misstep, and it does bother me. Next up, we have the Suhr Classic S. I'll just go ahead and say it. This is the best guitar in this lineup by a huge margin. Not only is it the best guitar in this lineup, this is probably one of the best Strats I've ever played. I'm having a hard time remembering a Strat leaving an impression on me like this Classic S has. The only other one that I can point to is my Shabbat Lynx, which is up in the rack there, which is a boutique guitar. And I bought that a few years ago because it blew my mind. But this is absolutely on the same level as that Shabbat. Now, it's also the most expensive guitar in this lineup, coming in at $3,449 US at the time of filming this video. And this is sort of Suhr's take on the flagship Strat. You've got a touch of vintage, you got a touch of modern. You got things like a compound radius fingerboard, a 9 to 12 inch compound radius. It's loaded with the V60 LP single coils, and Suhr is known for their pickups. You've got locking tuners, you've got a body contour on the heel there, a sort of hybrid vintage and modern bridge design here. You've got the 2-point tremolo system, but with the rolled steel saddles, which is very vintage correct. And like the PRS, the way the tremolo arm mounts into the body is very well designed, very well executed, and feels great. It's hard to get across in video how much better this guitar feels and sounds and plays than the PRS and the Fender, both of which are fantastic guitars, but this is a step up. And the price reflects that. This is the most expensive guitar here, and at this price range, the mid $3,000 range, you're starting to get into some of the custom shop realm, especially on the used market. And I own a custom shop Fender. I've played a lot of custom shop Strats over the years. This is custom shop level. To me, that's the main selling point of this guitar, is you can get into a custom shop level or beyond for under custom shop prices. Honestly, I don't have anything negative to say about this guitar, other than, I mean, maybe the price. But in my opinion, the price is worth it. Like, I would gladly spend $3,500 on this guitar and feel great about my decision to do so. And last but not least, and somewhat sadly, we have the G&L S-500. Now the timing of this is wild. When I started planning out this video and I started this video process, which has been several weeks now, G&L was still a company that was in business and still building guitars. And as of today, which is October 1st, it seems they are no longer a company and no longer building guitars, at least for the foreseeable future. This is the cheapest guitar in our lineup, $1,800 US, at least at the time of filming this video. And, you know, I think for that money, you're getting a great guitar here, or at least you can get a great guitar for a limited amount of time. I don't know how many of these are left, how many new ones are available. So 9.5-inch fretboard radius, the dual fulcrum vibrato system, which is a 2-point tremolo with brass saddles and a nice, you know, tremolo arm mounting system. This has the MFD single coils, which is an interesting single coil design. It's a way of decreasing noise and increasing output with the magnet design, implementing a bar magnet in there with individually adjustable pole pieces, which is a nice touch on a Strat. You don't typically see that on Strat single coils, so that's cool. And similar to the Fender, this has a switch which lets you introduce the neck pickup in with the bridge position, the middle 2 and 4 position, and then all 3 pickups. So for $1,800, I think this guitar is great for the money. It's not as good as the Fender, the PRS, and certainly the Suhr, but it's also not nearly as expensive. I mean, this is $1,000 less, basically, than the Fender, and $900 less than the PRS. But it certainly doesn't feel $1,000 less. I think there's a lot of value here. Now, I will say this guitar does have one issue, and that is here on the 12th fret, there's a high fret. I've set all these guitars up with the same strings, 9s, and I set them all up with the same action and everything before I film this video. And I cannot get that high E string to not fret out there on the 12th fret. Now that very well could have happened in shipping. When this guitar was shipped to me, it's late summer here in the Southeast and spent time in the back of a truck, got really hot, really humid. So it's potential that that fret could have lifted or something during the shipping process, but of all the guitars here, this is the only one that has some kind of like flaw in the build quality or playability. So it is worth pointing out. So if you came to this video specifically looking to see which of these guitars I think is the best one, I'll just go ahead and tell you, it's the Suhr. To me, that guitar strikes a perfect balance of modern playability, feel, and features with the vintage vibe and aesthetic of the classic Stratocaster. And also too, not for nothing, Suhr's gig bag, let me show you this. So I've been a mono case user for well over a decade now. This is the best gig bag I've ever seen. I would buy just this gig bag alone. Seriously, Suhr, if you don't, you should just sell these. Now, for the record, I don't think you can go wrong with any of these guitars. I think they're all great Strats. But to me, the more interesting conversation here is Fender and what they're doing. Because clearly, this guitar, in my opinion, was going after some of the market share that they've lost to PRS and maybe even to Suhr. It's hard to say. I don't have numbers to support my hypothesis here. But when you look at this and the Suhr Classic S, I mean, not only in this particular spec are they the same color and everything, but they're very, very close to one another. It's as if Fender saw what Suhr was doing and gaining popularity with the Classic S and was like, oh, we need to fill that gap in our product line. And same thing with PRS. There's no question that Fender has lost a large number of potential customers to PRS with the Silver Sky, especially after John Mayer left their ranks and moved over to PRS. And so if you are Fender and you're losing some of your market share of your flagship products to other companies, what do? You start to develop new models, not only to sort of fill gaps in the product line or to target maybe specific buyers, but to remain relevant. See, every time Fender drops a new model, there's an entire marketing campaign behind it. You've probably seen it on YouTube. In fact, that's why they sent me this guitar, was in hopes that I would be one of the creators that dropped a video talking about this lineup the day that it was released. And for the record, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, I have worked with them in the past on a launch for their Ultra 2 line. I went out to their factory and recorded with them and filmed with them for the day, and it was a great experience. And the other part of that equation is the fact that Fender has probably the most robust dealer network across the entire world of any of the manufacturers, which means when they drop a new guitar line, they know that they're going to sell a certain number of them. Let's just call it 10,000. I don't have any information to back that up. Do not quote me on that number, but let's just call it 10,000 guitars. They know they'll develop a new line, they'll tool up, they'll build it, and instantly there's going to be 10,000 sales or whatever to their dealers. Plus they're going to get all of the press and all the media outlets, and the YouTubers and the influencers are all going to start talking about it. It's a way for them to remain relevant. I question the viability of it long term because I think they're overdoing it. All right, so let me show you what I'm talking about here. If we just go to Sweetwater and we look up Fender Stratocasters. Okay, so right here, just narrowing it down to American-made Fenders between $1,500 and $3,000, we have 110 options, 110 different models and variations of the Stratocaster in just this sort of narrow window. So let's just narrow it down to the different lines. So we have the American Vintage 2, the American Professional 2, the American Ultra 2, the American Ultra Luxe Vintage, the American Performer, as well as some of the other things like limited editions, the artist signatures. So there's between 5 and 7 different lines of American-made Stratocaster. I just don't see what the end game here is. You just, continue to develop a new line every 6 to 8 months, get the media all talking about it. I mean, I guess it's working for them. They're selling guitars, so who am I to judge? But I don't know. It just feels excessive to me. I'm curious to know what your thoughts are on this. Jump over in the Discord server. Links down below. It's free to sign up. But do you think I'm onto something here with Fender sort of flooding the market with too many options and sort of shooting themselves in the foot long term? I don't know. It's just a feeling that I have that I think sooner rather than later, they're going to have to pare down and simplify. Also, let me know which one of these 4 Strats was your favorite. Which one would you buy? Links are in the description to all of these guitars. Like I said, if you want to check those out, those are Sweetwater affiliate links. And once again, thank you to Sweetwater for sponsoring today's video. I greatly appreciate it. Yeah, if you like this video, maybe we try and turn this into a series. Who's making the best Telly or the best Les Paul? Anyways, that's going to do it for today's video. My name is Rhett Shull. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one.